Stories.
They say curiosity killed the cat. For me, it opened a door that should have stayed shut. I wasn't always a freak for the macabre. I was just bored. College was suffocating. Endless lectures, sleepless nights, cheap ramen, and the same group of friends recycling the same jokes. I needed something real, something that made my blood pulse faster. That's how I ended up talking to someone named Zero on an obscure Reddit thread about the dark web. Zero claimed he was an explorer of the forbidden internet, a self-proclaimed digital occultist, whatever that meant. Most people called him a troll, but one night, after too many drinks, and with nothing better to do, I messaged him. Ever find anything actually scary, like real-deal horror? Zero answered, "You want horror? You want truth? Click this when you're ready," and sent me a link. It looked like a broken link. No one else in the thread responded. Just me and him. I waited a few minutes, then typed, "Is this a game?" No reply. I stared at the link. My screen flickered for a moment. Just once. Probably my imagination. Still, I copied it. Fired up Tor. My heart pounded like I was doing something criminal. I guess technically I was. The page was almost blank. Just black. No title bar. One red button in the middle with the words, "I consent to the violence." Click. It loaded a grainy video player and a live chat on the side. No usernames, just strings of random characters. The stream hadn't started yet. A red countdown ticked on screen. I stared at it, the tension growing. It felt like watching someone else's suicide note. Every second added to my dread. I should have closed the window. Instead, I waited. The screen jolted to life. A room. Blood-red walls. One steel chair. A man sat tied to it, mouth gagged, eyes wide. A figure stood behind him wearing a full-body red latex suit. No face, no visible features, just a slick red second skin. The chat exploded. "This one's new. He's awake. Watch closely." Zero. He was here. The figure in red walked toward the bound man and held up a card. "Requests open." My stomach flipped. I watched the chat go insane. Suggestions flooded in. The red-suited figure picked one, nodded slowly, and returned with a pair of pliers. He started with the man's fingernails. I can still hear the muffled screams. The man tossed in agony, but the bonds held firm. Every time he passed out, Red would jab him with a cattle prod to wake him up. The chat rewarded the torment with Bitcoin tips. I wanted to puke. I tried closing the tab. It wouldn't let me. I tried to kill the browser. Nothing worked. That's when I noticed my webcam light was on. "I'm being watched." My heart stopped. I hadn't used my webcam in months. I tried to cover it. Then I got a message on the stream. "Nice room you have." It was a direct shot. At me. I threw my laptop across the room. Screen shattered. I ran. I didn't sleep that night, or the next. I started seeing things. My own reflection lagged. My phone would vibrate even when it was off. Once, I found a red thumb drive on my pillow. I never touched it. But the worst was the email. It arrived a week later. No sender, just a subject line. "Your request has been accepted." The body of the message was a link. Against all better judgment, I clicked it. It showed me, asleep, in my bed, a timestamp from last night. I went to the police, showed them everything. They said the footage was a fake, some kind of fake prank. They confiscated what was left of my laptop and sent me home with a pamphlet about cyberstalking. I stopped leaving the apartment. I taped over every camera, blocked every light. But it didn't help. Sometimes I'd wake up to find red fingerprints on my mirror. Always 3 fingers. Always on the inside. I tried to contact Zero again. His Reddit account was gone. So I went deeper. It took weeks of digging through onion directories, but I found another entry point. A forum post titled "Return of the Room." Hidden under layers of encryption and dead links, there it was again. But this time, the video didn't start with a countdown. It started with my front door. On the screen, I saw a video feed of my hallway, my actual hallway, outside my apartment. The quality was shaky, like a handheld cam. I ran to the door. No one was there. Back to the screen. The figure in red was in my living room now, standing still, staring directly into the camera. The angle had changed. It was from my own ceiling corner. I sprinted to the living room. Nothing. Just silence and that awful red hue seeping through every pixel of the screen. Then the chat lit up again. "Behind you!" I spun around. Still nothing. But the webcam light blinked once, then turned off. I sold everything. Laptop, phone. moved across the country, changed my name, got therapy. It helped for a while. But I still can't look at red walls. I still check every room before I sleep. I don't own any electronics with cameras, but last night it came back. I turned on the TV, static, then a flash of red, a familiar chair, a familiar figure. Then my face, tied up, gagged. It wasn't happening live. It was a recording, a future. My future? I don't know. I smashed the TV. Didn't help. I received a package this morning, no return address. Inside was a single photo, a still from the stream, the red room, the chair, empty, waiting, and a handwritten note taped to the back. Request received, see you soon. I'm writing this so someone knows, so that if I vanish, if you hear about some kid disappearing with no trace, you'll know it wasn't random. It was them. The red room isn't a myth. It isn't just a story. It's a feed, and if you're reading this, if you're even a little curious, don't click the link. Don't search, because once you see the room, it sees you too. I used to think the dark web was just an internet boogeyman. Whispers about red rooms, hitmen for hire, and cursed files passed around in shady forums. Most of it was fiction, right? Just clickbait and hacker folklore. But one night, curiosity got the better of me. I wasn't stupid about it. I knew the basics. Used Tor, a VPN chain through 3 countries, and a dedicated laptop I bought off a sketchy guy in an alley for cash. I didn't even set it up at home. Sat in a 24-hour diner sipping burnt coffee as the OS booted into silence. The plan was to browse a few forums, maybe download something mildly creepy for laughs, then ghost it all. But I found something else. Or maybe it found me. It started with a directory listing. No extension, I clicked it anyway. Text popped up in a black terminal-style window. Welcome to ExitNode. A place between the packets. Only the curious remain. Under that, a blinking cursor. No options. The screen flashed once. Do you consent to proceed? I hesitated. There was no reason to continue. But something made me type yes. The screen glitched. Just a flicker. And then I was in what looked like a primitive chat room. Only one user online. The messages started immediately. You've touched the veil. Now you will see. Then a file dropped into my downloads folder. No prompt. I scanned it. No viruses, no hidden processes. Against all common sense, I opened it. The drive opened to a dozen folders, all named in bizarre ways. I picked one at random. Inside, hundreds of MP4 files. No titles, just timestamps. The first one I opened changed everything. It was footage from a webcam. A girl, maybe 20, crying quietly in a dark room. Chain around her ankle. No audio. She stared into the camera for a solid 5 minutes, then suddenly looked to her left in pure terror. Eyes wide, mouth open, silent scream, and then the feed cut to static. I watched another. A different room, different person. This time a man, middle-aged, clearly drugged. He kept looking off camera like someone was whispering to him. Then he started tearing at his own skin. Again, feed cuts just before anything happens. What disturbed me most wasn't the content. It was the fact that the resolution, metadata, and lighting all matched my laptop's webcam exactly. I slammed the lid shut, heart pounding. I waited. Nothing happened. No knocks, no lights flickering. Just the hum of the diner's fridge in the background. I should have destroyed the laptop then, but I didn't. 3 days passed. I couldn't stop thinking about it. The folder, the videos, the message, you've touched the veil. I thought maybe it was all a prank. But then I started noticing things. My phone's battery drained faster than usual. I'd wake up and find my front door unlocked, always just barely, like someone had entered and left quietly. Once, I woke to find my TV on, tuned to a dead input, the static hissing into the silence of my apartment. Then came the emails, no sender, no subject, just one line in the body. ExitNode sees you. Every day, same message, same time. One night I stayed up, determined to watch the clock tick to 3:03. Right on cue, the email came, but this time it had an attachment, a still image, black and white, night vision, my bedroom. It was a photo taken from the foot of my bed. I was asleep, alone, but in the corner of the frame, barely visible behind the door, was someone else. I moved, didn't tell anyone. New place, new laptop, new identity online, no dark web, no Tor, nothing. I even stopped using email. It worked for a while. But 2 weeks ago, I found something under my doormat, a flash drive, no label. I knew I shouldn't, but again, curiosity. Inside was one file. It was another night vision clip, but this time, it wasn't my bedroom. It was my new place. Same layout, same bed, same sheets. The footage showed me asleep. Then, about halfway through the video, a shadow moves in from the hallway. Slow, deliberate, crawling on all fours like a broken insect. It sits at the foot of the bed and just watches. The timestamp was from the night before. I've been sleeping in my car since then. I tried going to the police, showed them the flash drive. But at the station, the files wouldn't play. Just static. One officer looked me dead in the eye and said, "You should never have said yes." When I asked what he meant, he claimed he never spoke. Last night, I got desperate. I booted up the old laptop again, plugged in at a truck stop. I figured maybe if I went back, I could undo whatever I started. Back to Tor, back to same file. This time, when I opened it, there was no prompt. Just a message. Exit node complete. Transmission ended. Goodbye, Thomas. My name isn't Thomas, but the laptop's name was. The device label, I mean. I never set that. I threw the laptop in a ditch, watched a truck crush it, but it didn't matter. I'm writing this from a library PC. Doesn't matter where. Doesn't matter who I am anymore. Because last night I dreamed in static. In the dream, I was back in my bedroom, but I couldn't move. At the foot of my bed was a figure with no face, made of black noise and crawling code. It whispered one thing before I woke up in a cold sweat. The veil is thinner now. They can see through your eyes. When I looked in the mirror this morning, my reflection blinked twice. Once for me, and once a split second later. I don't think I'm alone in my head anymore. If you're reading this, don't look for it. Don't go into the dark web thinking it's a game. Some parts of the internet aren't built by people. They're built between people. By something else. Something hungry. Something watching. And once you touch the veil, you never come back the same. I never should have clicked that link. It started with a private message from a burner Discord account. Just a string of numbers and letters followed by, "You like horror, right? Try this." At first I thought it was a joke. I'd spent years scouring the darker corners of the web, collecting creepypasta, unsolved mysteries, encrypted ARGs. But this was different. No elaborate backstory, no gimmicks, just a Tor address. Against my better judgment, I copied it into my browser and hit enter. The page was blank for a long time. Then a single line of red text appeared. "Welcome to the live stream." A black screen loaded with a flickering red dot in the upper right corner. There were no buttons, no menus, just the sound of static. I should have closed the window. I should have burned my laptop. But I watched. The feed sharpened. A dimly lit room appeared, walls covered in cracked tile and rotting insulation. A surgical table stood in the center, stained dark brown in places. The camera was fixed, dead still. The angle suggested it was mounted, maybe high in a corner. Someone entered the room. They wore a featureless black mask. No eye holes, no mouth slit. Just a glossy, inhuman surface. Their clothes were surgical scrubs, darkened at the sleeves like they'd been dipped in oil. The person wheeled in a figure, bound to a gurney, face covered with a burlap sack. I reached for my laptop's power button. My screen blinked. For half a second, my own face appeared on the feed. Then it was gone. I froze. My heart pounded in my chest like an alarm bell. The figure on the table began to squirm, muffled screams. I saw now. They were duct-taped at the wrists, ankles, and head. The masked figure circled them slowly, holding something metallic. A pole appeared in the corner of the screen. Choose what happens next. Scalpel, bone saw, fire. It wasn't just a video. It was interactive. Real time. Votes began pouring in. Hundreds, maybe thousands. The chat box exploded with laughing emojis, blood-red usernames, and cryptic messages. Fire won. The masked figure nodded, almost reverently, then walked off screen and returned with a small torch. The captive thrashed wildly now. The camera didn't blink. It didn't cut away. I won't describe what happened next. I couldn't if I tried. But I watched the whole thing. Every second. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't stop hearing the screaming. Real screaming, not from a movie. There was something wet about it. Something primal. The next morning, my inbox had a new message. No sender, just a subject line. You watched. Inside was a new link. My hands shook as I hovered the mouse over it. The email deleted itself before I could move. Later that day, my phone buzzed. You didn't vote last time. You will tonight. I dropped my phone. By nightfall, the link was burned into my mind. I found myself logging back in like a compulsion, like my fingers weren't mine. The stream was live again. This time, 2 people were in the room, one masked like before, the other standing in the corner, head hung low. A new victim lay strapped to the table. Young, maybe 19 or 20. A woman. Another poll appeared. One dies, one lives, you choose who. Chat messages flew by faster than I could read them. Emotes. People were betting on the outcome like it was a sporting event. I didn't vote. A few seconds later, my screen went black. Then my webcam activated. I saw myself, wide-eyed, pale, breathing fast. A robotic voice echoed from the speakers. No observers, only participants. The screen returned to the stream. But now the masked figure was pointing at the camera. At me. Then came a new poll. Punishment for the lurker. Noise complaint power outage, knock knock. Votes surged. Knock knock won. I laughed nervously. It couldn't be real. Then I heard it. A knock on my door. 3 slow knocks. I sat, frozen. Another message appeared on the screen. You're playing now. I left town the next morning. Packed a bag, drained my bank account, and drove until I ran out of gas in some nameless Midwestern town. Slept in my car. I tried tossing the laptop into a lake, but it didn't matter. The stream found me again. On a stranger's public Wi-Fi, on a hotel room TV. Always the same room. Always the same masked figure. And always a new victim. Each time I didn't vote, something bad happened. Power failures, screaming outside my window, my reflection flickering into someone else's face. I started voting just to make it stop, but it didn't stop. On the 7th night, I tried contacting the FBI. I brought a printed screenshot of the stream to a field office in Missouri. The agent took one look and asked me to follow him. I thought maybe, just maybe, I'd found a way out. They put me in a white room, no windows. They asked me questions, how I accessed the site, how I found the link, who else knew. I answered everything. The door opened again. A new man entered, no badge, no name tag. He slid a photo across the table. It was me sitting at the computer, watching the stream. My mouth was open. My eyes were dead. We didn't take this, he said quietly. I left that night. They didn't stop me. By the 10th day, the dream started. I'd wake up gagging, covered in sweat, tasting copper in my mouth. Sometimes I'd find red fingerprints on the walls. Sometimes my laptop would turn itself on, even after I'd smashed it. And the emails came back. One subject line burned itself into my memory. Next time you're on camera. I didn't know what that meant until it was too late. The last stream I ever watched started like the others. Black room, table, masked figure. Only this time the camera angle was different. It was lower, tilted slightly up, as if hidden. The quality was grainier. I almost didn't recognize the layout. Because it was my basement. There was someone on the table, strapped down, squirming, a bag over their head. I stood up, heart beating so hard I thought I'd black out. I ran downstairs. Empty, but on screen the basement was not empty. I watched in real time as the masked figure entered my basement, dragging something heavy. The bag came off. It was me, or it looked like me. Same face, same clothes, same scar above the left eye. I stared at the screen, paralyzed, as the figure produced a new tool. Something long, serrated. The poll appeared. Which eye goes first? I screamed, slammed the laptop shut, smashed it against the wall until it sparked and died. But the screams didn't stop. I live off-grid now. No internet, no phone, no mirrors. But every so often I hear that knock. 3 times, always slow, always measured. And sometimes at night I see a red light flicker in the woods, like a recording light. I don't know who's watching anymore. I just know I'm still playing. I never believed in the red rooms. For years, I thought they were just internet boogeymen, urban legends for the digitally deranged. Stories about hidden websites on the dark web where you could supposedly pay Bitcoin to watch torture streamed live. Some even claimed you could vote on what happened next. It was all nonsense. The videos circulating were always fake, grainy, pre-recorded. I even wrote a blog post about it once, debunking the top 10 Red Room myths. Ironically, that's probably how they found me. It started with an email. Subject: you're wrong. No sender, no timestamp. Just a single line of text. Want to see the real thing, skeptic? Attached was an onion link. I knew better. Clicking it was the digital equivalent of walking into traffic. But my curiosity was wired to arrogance. I copied it into my Tor browser, loaded it through a VPN, and pressed enter. The screen went black. For 10 full seconds, I thought it was a hoax, until a white progress bar blinked to life, accompanied by a low-frequency hum. Then the stream began. It wasn't what I expected. No gory theatrics, no sadistic host with a voice changer. Just a room, stark white walls, no windows, a chair in the center, and a person. They were slouched, head drooped forward, bound at the wrists and ankles, a bag over the head. The camera was mounted at a fixed angle, as if installed in a wall. Then text appeared on the screen. "You are viewer 1 of 1. Welcome to Stream 0. There were no other users, no chat, no poll, just me. Then the lights in the room flickered. The figure on the chair twitched. The bag on their head shifted slightly. And another message. "We don't take donations, we take interest." I tried to close the window. Nothing happened. I killed the browser process. Still there. I yanked the Ethernet cable. The stream kept playing. I pulled the battery out of my laptop. The screen stayed on. The video zoomed in on the captive's hands. Their fingers twitched. Skin peeled around the wrists from struggling against zip ties. A distorted voice played over my speakers, genderless, emotionless. "Say stop," the figure flinched. "Say stop and it stops." Muffled sounds came from under the hood, guttural, desperate. "Louder." I turned away. When I looked back, a gloved hand was reaching into frame. It held a surgical blade, thin, precise. Then the screen cut to black. Silence. My reflection stared back at me in the laptop screen, eyes wide, mouth open. A new message appeared. "Now we watch you." That night, my apartment changed. It wasn't big, just a studio near the university. But something felt wrong. Not just paranoid wrong. Tangibly, geometrically off. I noticed the light in the hallway flickered in perfect sync with the stream. My microwave glitched, showing 0 no matter what I entered. And my webcam light turned on, even though it was covered. Then the smell started. Copper and ammonia. Like blood and bleach had been poured over each other. I didn't sleep, just sat there, heart hammering, waiting for something to happen. At 3:17 a.m., the stream returned. This time it opened directly on my screen, no browser. The room looked the same. But now there were 2 chairs. One was empty. The hooded person was breathing hard. Their head jerked suddenly, like something had snapped in their neck. Blood trickled down the front of the bag. Then the camera tilted for the first time, breaking the illusion of it being static. It panned slowly toward the second chair, and there was a nameplate on it. My name. First, middle, last. I staggered back. The screen cut to black again. Then text. "You are viewer 0 of 0. That means it's your turn." I left the apartment at sunrise, barely able to stand. Took nothing, just ran. Rented a car in cash. No GPS, no phone. I drove west until I ran out of road and ended up in a dusty town in New Mexico. Checked into a roadside motel. The kind with sun-faded Coke signs and TVs that still had antennas. I took the battery out of every device, buried them in the dirt behind the dumpster, sat on the bed and tried to convince myself I was okay. Then the static began. Not in my head, not imagined. On the motel TV. It wasn't even plugged in. A high-pitched tone shrieked through the speakers. Then the screen blinked to life. It wasn't the room this time. It was me, sitting in the motel room, on the bed, watching the TV. I watched myself turn to the camera, before I had actually turned. And then I did. I turned, and something was standing behind me. I blacked out. When I came to, I was back in my car, sunlight pouring through the windshield, dried blood on my temple, a strip of fabric in my mouth like I'd been gagged. I drove to the nearest police station, tried to explain what happened. The officer didn't believe a word until I mentioned Stream 0. Then he got quiet. He led me to the back. No cuffs, just a silent room with a metal table and a flickering fluorescent light, just like the stream. Another man entered, older, civilian clothes, government energy. He slid a folder toward me. Inside were photos of me, screenshots from every stream I'd watched. One photo was of me sleeping, another of me screaming at the motel. Another of me sitting in a second chair. He said one sentence. "How many others did you bring in?" I didn't understand. He flipped a page. It was a screenshot of my blog. The Red Room debunking post. My name, my face, my words, time-stamped and indexed on a site I'd never visited. "You opened the door," he said. "They don't need money. They need viewers." I asked him who they were. He didn't answer. He pulled a burner phone from his pocket and handed it to me. "You'll get a call. They'll tell you where to go." I said no. I told him I'd rather die. He just stared. "You already did." I left the station. I kept driving. The phone rang 6 hours later. I didn't answer. The next day, I saw my face on a gas station TV. Missing Ian Wells. Last seen June 3rd. It was June 5th. Now I live on the run. No digital footprint. No friends. No contact. Every screen feels like an eye. Every hotel room has a second chair. I don't sleep anymore. Because if I do, I see the room again. And I see me, strapped down, screaming, camera rolling. Always live, always streaming, always just one viewer. You. The last thing my sister sent me was a Google Drive link. No subject line, no text, just a folder called 42. I didn't even know she'd gotten into hacking. Apparently, she'd joined some hidden forum full of deep net truth seekers or whatever. But she'd been acting weird for weeks. Paranoid. Kept talking about things no one should ever see. I thought she was just off her meds again. Then she vanished. No note. No calls. Nothing. So when I got that email, I opened it. There was one file inside. Just over 6 minutes. I clicked play. The video began in darkness. A low, mechanical hum played beneath the silence. Then, flickering light. A hallway, shot from what looked like an old CCTV feed. Grainy, colorless. At first, nothing moved. The hallway was long and narrow, lit by a single oscillating light bulb. Industrial walls. Metal floor. Then something crawled across the floor. Not walked. Crawled. Like it had forgotten how to use its legs. It was humanoid. Pale skin. No hair. Long fingers like broken bones. It dragged something wrapped in plastic. A body, a child-sized body. I froze. My mouth went dry. The creature stopped in the center of the hallway, turned toward the camera and tilted its head. I swear to God, I saw its mouth move. The footage skipped. Now the hallway was filled with bodies. Dozens. Maybe more. Each one wrapped in plastic wrap, but their hands were always bare, pale fingers twitching under the cellophane. And there was sound now, a high-pitched tone layered over a low whisper. The whispers weren't in English, not even a language I recognized. I clicked pause. The video kept playing. I tried closing the tab. It wouldn't close. Tried pulling the plug on my Wi-Fi. Screen still active. Then the whispering got louder. The screen cut to black. White text appeared. You were not supposed to see this. You are one of 7. We know your face. My webcam light turned on. I slammed the laptop shut. Tried to breathe. Tried to pretend it was just a creepy video. Just a prank. That night, I had the first dream. I was lying in a hallway. My arms were bound. My mouth filled with plastic wrap. Above me was the creature. Same black eyes. Same bone-thin fingers. It leaned down and whispered something in my ear. In the dream, I understood it. When I woke up, my nose was bleeding. And my door, which I always locked, was wide open. The next day I went to the police, told them my sister was missing, gave them the video. A young cop took my statement. I watched him open the file. He hit play, just static. No hallway, no creatures, just white noise. He laughed. This a joke? I looked at the screen. It was my face now, my webcam feed frozen, mouth half open, eyes red. Behind me in the image was the hallway. Just for a second, then the image corrupted. The cop turned serious. Where'd you get this? I told him. He just wrote something down and thanked me. 2 days later, I went back. That cop was gone. Transferred, they said. No record of my statement. I dug into the file myself. It wasn't hosted on Drive anymore. The folder was gone. My sister's email, deleted. No trace. I ran file recovery tools. One fragment came back. An unplayable file with a nonsense name. I uploaded it to a virtual machine. One tag stood out. I Googled it. Nothing. Tried Tor, found a forum. Black background, red font. Thread called 42. Blood archive. It had only 7 replies, each from a different user. Each posting a timestamp. Each ending with. She showed me the hallway. I clicked the first timestamp. It linked to a paste bin. Just a list of IP addresses. The first IP was mine. That night I started hearing clicking inside my walls, like insect mandibles, or claws tapping slowly on steel. In the hallway outside my apartment, the lights began flickering like in the video. And then my phone buzzed. No number, just a video file. I watched it. It was me, sitting on my couch. From behind, a low whisper played under the feed. 1 of 7, soon to be 6. I turned around. Nothing there. But on the floor, a long piece of plastic wrap. The next day I flew to my parents' house. Small town, quiet roads. I didn't even call them. I just showed up. When my mom answered the door, she gasped. You too? She whispered. She led me inside, closed all the windows, triple locked the doors. Then she handed me a flash drive. This came in the mail yesterday, she said. No return address. It just said, play me. I recognized the folder structure immediately. Folder 42 inside, 6 video files, each labeled with a number and a name. I played the first one, a man, tied to a chair in the same hallway. The creature whispered in his ear. He screamed, but no one came. Then something sharp entered the frame. The video ended with his mouth full of plastic wrap. The 6th video was me. I was sitting at my desk, watching the fifth file on repeat. Blood trickled from my nose. My eyes were milky white. The hallway behind me began to form. Then the footage reversed, as if time were unraveling. My face aged in reverse. My hair turned black again. The screen glitched. New text. 0 remains. Blood opens memory. Memory opens door. Bring the seventh. I destroyed the drive, smashed my laptop, cut power to the house. Didn't matter. At 3:42 a.m., all the lights turned on. The TV activated. The hallway was there again. But this time, I wasn't alone. My mother stood in front of the screen. Whispers echoed from her mouth, though her lips didn't move. Then I saw her reflection in the TV. It wasn't my mother. It was my sister, wrapped in plastic. Eyes open, mouth moving. The words she said didn't sound human, but I understood them. Finish what I started. I left the house that night. Didn't say goodbye, didn't look back. I went to a public library across the state, logged into a clean machine, accessed the only backup I had of the video metadata. The seventh file hadn't been created yet. They were waiting for me to record it, or for someone else to upload it. That's when it clicked. 7 viewers, 7 videos, 1 for each. Every person who saw the original file was pulled in. So I did the only thing I could. I uploaded the file to a torrent tracker with a fake name. I let thousands download it. I made it go viral on conspiracy forums, gore boards, encrypted chats, because I figured something out. If they don't have 7, they can't complete the cycle. If I gave them 70,000, they'd never close the loop. But now every night I see them, walking in hallways behind reflections, in the corners of dark rooms, in freeze frames on paused videos. I see the woman dragging bodies, the creature with fingers like scissors, the plastic wrap slowly tightening. The hallway doesn't end, and neither does the count. Because once you watch Folder 42, you start hearing the whisper too. You are one of us now. You are one of too many. Thank you for listening. Hope I didn't scare you too much. If you like my stories, please consider giving me a like and subscribe. See you next time.